My name is Emma. I'm 26 years old, and I need to tell you about my grandmother's phone. The rotary phone that still receives calls from dead people. Calls that started innocent enough, lost souls asking for help. But then something else started calling. Something that pretended to be human, but definitely wasn't. My grandmother Rose passed away last month at 89. She lived alone in the same house for 60 years, surrounded by antiques and memories. When I was cleaning out her belongings, I found an old black rotary phone in her bedroom. It wasn't connected to any phone line, hadn't been plugged in for decades, but I kept it anyway. It reminded me of her. I brought it to my apartment and put it on my nightstand as a decoration. Vintage charm, you know? I had no idea that some phones never really disconnect. Some numbers stay active long after the service should have ended. It happened 3 days after the funeral. I was getting ready for bed when the phone rang. That old-fashioned, mechanical ring that rotary phones make. I stared at it, confused, because obviously it wasn't connected to anything. But it kept ringing. I picked up the heavy black receiver. "Hello," I said, feeling ridiculous. There was static, then a voice. An elderly woman, speaking very softly. "Rose? Rose, is that you, dear?" "No, this is Emma. Rose was my grandmother. She passed away last week." There was a long pause, then a sigh. "Oh, I see. I'm sorry, dear. I've been trying to reach her for so long. My name is Margaret. I used to live next door to Rose, back in 1962. 1962. I repeated. "Ma'am, are you sure you have the right number?" Another pause. "I suppose I don't anymore. You see, dear, I died in 1963. Car accident on Route 9. But I never got to apologize to Rose for our argument. We were best friends, and I said terrible things the day before I died. I should have hung up, should have convinced myself it was a prank call. But something in her voice, the genuine sadness, made me keep listening. What did you want to apologize for?" I asked. I accused her of stealing my husband's attention at the church social. It was petty jealousy, and I knew it wasn't true even as I said it. We didn't speak for a week, and then I was gone. I've been trying to call her ever since, to say I'm sorry, but I suppose it's too late now. I found myself saying, "It's not too late. I forgive you on her behalf. Rose always talked about her friend Margaret. She missed you too." I heard what sounded like crying, then the line went dead. The next night it rang again. This time it was a man named Frank, Rose's brother who died in Vietnam in 1968. He wanted to know if she ever got his last letter, the one he wrote but never sent. The night after that, it was Rose's first husband who died of tuberculosis in 1954. He wanted her to know he wasn't angry that she remarried. Each call was the same pattern. Someone from Rose's past calling to resolve unfinished business, to say goodbye properly, to apologize or forgive, or simply to say they loved her. At first, I found it beautiful. I was helping lost souls find peace, connecting them to my grandmother even though she was gone. I started keeping a journal of the calls. Margaret, Frank, James, Mrs. Chen from the grocery store, Rose's childhood friend Sally, her cousin Robert. All people who had died years or decades ago, all trying to reach Rose one last time. The calls always came at night, between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. The voices were always faint, like they were calling from very far away. And they all ended the same way, with relief in their voice, like a weight had been lifted, followed by the line going dead. I felt like I was doing something meaningful, providing closure for souls who had been waiting decades to say goodbye. I even started looking forward to the calls, wondering who would reach out next from Rose's long life. But then the calls started changing. It was 2 weeks after the first call when I got one that felt different. The phone rang at 2:47 a.m., and when I answered, the voice was younger. A child's voice. "Is this Rose's phone?" the little girl asked. "Yes, but Rose isn't here anymore. I'm her granddaughter, Emma." "What's your name, sweetheart?" There was giggling. "I'm Lucy. I used to play in Rose's backyard. We would have tea parties with my dolls." "That sounds lovely, Lucy. When did you know Rose?" More giggling. "Oh, a long time ago. I fell in the well behind her house. The water was so cold, and I couldn't climb out. I called for help, but nobody heard me. My blood went cold." "Lucy, when did this happen?" 1987, she said cheerfully, like she was talking about yesterday. I've been down here ever since. But I can see Rose's phone from here, glowing in the dark. I've been trying to call for help for so long. Lucy, where exactly are you? I asked, my hand shaking. In the well. Silly. Behind Rose's house. It's very dark and very cold. Will you come get me? I've been waiting for someone to answer the phone for 35 years. The line went dead. I immediately called the police and told them about a possible missing child case from 1987. They thought I was crazy, but they agreed to check the old property records and search Rose's backyard. They found Lucy Chen's remains at the bottom of a forgotten well, exactly where she said she'd be. After they found Lucy, I started researching all the people who had called. Margaret really did die in a car accident in 1963. Frank was killed in Vietnam. James died of tuberculosis. Every single person who called was real, and they had all died exactly when and how they said. But here's what scared me. Not all of them had been close to Rose. Some were just acquaintances, people she barely knew. The man from the hardware store, who died in 1975. A woman who lived 3 streets over and died in 1981. People who had no reason to call her specifically. That's when I realized the phone wasn't just receiving calls meant for Rose. It was receiving calls from anyone who had died in the area, anyone who had unfinished business or unresolved trauma. And somehow, I had become their operator, their connection to the world of the living. The calls started coming more frequently, 2 or 3 a night, then 5 or 6, voices from different decades, different tragedies. A factory worker who died in an explosion in 1952. A teenager who overdosed in 1978. A whole family who died in a house fire in 1990. They all wanted the same thing, for someone to know their story, to acknowledge their pain, to help them find peace. And I found myself becoming obsessed with helping them. I would spend hours researching their deaths, visiting their graves, contacting their surviving family members. I wasn't sleeping, wasn't eating properly, wasn't going to work. My whole life revolved around these midnight calls from the dead. My friends were worried. My boss was threatening to fire me, but I couldn't stop. These people needed me. Then the phone rang at 4:17 a.m. on a Tuesday, and everything changed. The voice was different this time. Deeper, raspier, like someone who had been screaming for a very long time. Emma, it said, and I noticed it knew my name without me giving it. You've been so helpful to my friends. Who is this? I asked. There was laughter, but it wasn't human laughter. It was the sound wind makes through dead trees. I'm someone who's been watching your little operation. Someone who's been collecting the souls you've been helping to move on. What do you mean, collecting? My voice was barely a whisper. Oh, Emma, did you really think those souls were finding peace? Did you think they were going to some beautiful afterlife? They're going to me. Every spirit you help resolve their business becomes mine to keep. The truth hit me like ice water. You're not dead, are you? Dead. Alive. Such limited concepts. I'm something much older, much hungrier. I feed on souls in transition, souls caught between worlds. And you, dear Emma, have been such an excellent hunter for me. All those people I helped are trapped with me now, yes. Margaret, Frank, little Lucy, all of them. They thought they were finding peace, but they were just walking into my web. And the beautiful part is, they came willingly, gratefully even. I tried to hang up, but my hand wouldn't move. The phone seemed welded to my ear. Don't worry, Emma. Your work isn't done yet. There are so many more souls in this area who need your help. So many more I can collect through you. I won't do it anymore, I managed to say. The laughter came again. Oh, but you will. Because if you stop taking my calls, I'll start calling your friends instead. Your family, your coworkers, anyone whose number I can find. And unlike you, they won't know what they're walking into. For the next week, I didn't answer the phone when it rang. But the thing was persistent. It called every hour, on the hour, day and night. And then my friends started calling me, confused and scared. Emma, I got the weirdest call last night, my best friend Sarah said. Some old man claimed he was dead and needed my help with something. He knew things about my grandmother that I've never told anyone. It was so real, so convincing. My coworker Mark got a call from a woman claiming to be his deceased sister. My neighbor got a call from someone claiming to be her dead cat. The entity was spreading, using other phones, other connections, but still funneling souls through me somehow. I realized I had two choices: keep answering the phone and enabling this creature to collect more souls, or find a way to stop it permanently. I spent 3 sleepless days researching the phone's history. I traced it back through newspaper archives, obituaries, property records. The phone had belonged to a medium named Madame Zelda, who operated out of Rose's house in the 1940s. She claimed she could speak to the dead for grieving families. But according to the records, people who attended her seances started disappearing. Not dying, disappearing. Their bodies were never found, but their voices were sometimes heard on telephone lines throughout the town, crying for help. Madame Zelda disappeared in 1949, but not before hiding something in the walls of the house. When Rose bought the property in 1950, she found a box containing the phone and a note. "This line stays open until all debts are paid." I realized Rose had known about the phone all along. She'd been getting the calls for 70 years, helping lost souls find peace, not knowing she was feeding them to something evil. The weight of all those trapped spirits, that guilt, that's probably what killed her. Last Friday night, I made my decision. When the phone rang at midnight, I answered it one final time. "I know what you are," I told the entity. "And I know how to stop you." "Impossible," it hissed. "I've been feeding for decades. I'm stronger than you can imagine." "Maybe," I said, "but you've made one mistake. All those souls you've collected, they're still connected to this phone. And phones work both ways." I had spent the week reaching out to every spirit the entity had trapped, calling their names into the phone, reminding them who they were before they were captured. Margaret, Frank, little Lucy, hundreds of others. And they remembered. "We're not trapped anymore," I heard Margaret's voice say through the static. "We remember now. We remember what we really wanted." Suddenly the phone was full of voices, all the souls the entity had collected, all speaking at once. "We never wanted to move on," Frank said. "We wanted to stay and protect the people we loved." "We wanted to warn them," said Lucy. "We wanted to help them avoid the mistakes we made." The entity's scream was deafening. "No, they're mine. I collected them fairly." "Nothing about this was fair," I said, and I hung up the phone for the last time. I took the phone to Rose's backyard, to the spot where they'd found Lucy's well, and I smashed it with a sledgehammer. Every piece of black plastic and metal that broke released a flash of light. Souls finally, truly free. The calls stopped that night. But sometimes, when I'm walking through town, I see them. Margaret waving from her old house. Frank standing guard at the war memorial. Lucy playing in the park where her family used to take her. They're not trapped anymore. They're not being collected or consumed. They're just there, watching over the people they love, protecting them from the things that hunt in the spaces between life and death. And me, I moved away from that town, changed my number, got rid of every old phone in my apartment, because I learned something important. Some connections are too dangerous to maintain. Some calls should never be answered. But if you ever inherit an old phone from a relative and it starts ringing even though it's not plugged in, maybe think twice before picking up. Not every voice from the other side wants to find peace. Some of them want to drag you back with them.